And welcome everyone again to another fun and exciting session of High Vibe Channeling Session. This is February 26, 2026. And the first session is going to be me, Ray Heitman. The Sasquatch had connected with me, and they didn't call me on the phone, but they had connected with me to say that they had a message to give. And who am I to turn down such lovely beings? And if they want to talk, I'll be honored to have them come through and we'll see what they have to say. And we are honored by your presence and honored by this one for acknowledging ours and giving us the chance to utilize his form to speak to you and to the greater audience who may come upon this after we have done our part in providing you with the information which we have chosen to provide you because we feel the time is right and it is necessary. And this may not be a surprise for many of you, but our message for you relates to all of you and many on your planet, millions in fact, around the world, wish to have visits by the visitors from the skies, the star beings, the extraterrestrials. They see them in their dreams. They hear them come through channeling, and they wonder why they are not in contact yet. Why are they waiting? And it is not so much that humanity is not ready, although that is true in a grander sense. And many of you as individuals are ready, and some have already had their individual personal contact events, those glorious encounters with beings of love, giving love to those we will not say deserving, for you are all deserving, but those who are equipped to handle it and not be afraid and not succumb to those energies. But the main reason why that has not happened on your planet yet is the same reason why we are not among you and have not been for many centuries. It is because of the way you treat yourselves as a race. It is because of the way you treat your planet. If you cannot get along with this Earth Mother who supports you, if you cannot get along with the creatures who are occupying it, who are here as part of an overall design system which was engineered and functioned to provide for all, if you cannot get along with your own kind, even your own neighbors or your own family members, how can you expect other beings to expect to receive favorable and honorable and respectful behaviors from you? We are not coming down upon you. We are merely expressing that is our view and the view of those beings who love you from afar, who observe you and desire to come down amongst you and stand shoulder to shoulder to help fix Mother Earth, to help you grow into the new species you are destined to become. But we do ask of you as individuals to think about that or upon that when you interact with others through your day, when you interact with animals, insects, the elementals, seen or unseen, that you do your best to emulate not only how we approach all life, but how you wish to be an example for those youngers, those individuals who you have brought forth and who they will continue to have offspring, so that they may get to the point where you can all stand shoulder to shoulder in respect, honoring all life, so none suffer, so all have the chance of being the best beings they can be, of breathing in the symphony of the earth, of feeling the energies of her within your veins, of playfully engaging in peace and harmony all of the beings who wish to play, human and otherwise. That includes the wind, the wee folk, the fire, water, rock people. There are many, many beings who walk amongst you who would be more open if you, as a race, were more open. Many of you may have wondered how the indigenous, for centuries, would encounter large animals, bears, big cats, buffalo, and not suffered. And we are not saying that none did. There are fools and have always been fools amongst humans. Sometimes pride gets in the way. Sometimes they do not have their mind on their moment and are distracted. But those who more have their wits about them would merely greet those beings and honor them. Now, there are ill tempers in many of the large animals as well, for they have their own personalities and their own ways. But in listening and responding with your hearts and using the senses and intuition and the guidance of the spirits, they could avoid those types of incidents, especially if they listened to the elders who were in touch with their ancients and communed with them, not only in their ceremonies, but in their sleep states. And we are thankful that this is review for all of you. But we wish to bring that forth to remind you, as you do go throughout your day, to hold that respect, to watch your tone of voice, to reach out and help when your heart calls, and to not be afraid to play when the moment hits you. That is an important part of enjoyment. All of the young animals, including humans, play, play, play. It is delightful. It brings joy to all hearts which have not been hardened by things which they keep inside them. You can do that as well. You can be that example and let that little one have more say in how you go throughout your day. And although this is a short message, we do thank you for allowing us to bring it to you and through your devices. And if you have questions for us, we are here for you in your service. Thank you.
Greetings to you. I'm very happy you are here with us. I wanted to ask, sometimes I walk out in our society and I wear t-shirts with Sasquatch on them. I see different reactions and I see some people make a kind of a connection. When this happens, do you also feel it in some way?
We are observing where we feel we need to observe. We no longer expose ourselves in the places where nature is not to a large degree. We do not need to. We have seen those places. They are devoid in some ways of nature energies, but still carry the natures of the earth, and they carry the love of the environment within individuals who tread there. But that is an individual experience, and we appreciate you wearing the garments which will bring that awareness to others. Now, for some, they consider it a joke. They consider us fictional beings, cartoonish. And we know that they are, we shall say, babes in the woods, as they do not know better. They have not learned because they have not been taught. They have not experienced. It is not a wonder that those who go among the wood, who experience its depths, its wonders, its energies, and feel that kinship with it, are the ones who are drawn to us. And when we see that and look into their hearts, we can choose to provide them with clues to our being among them. And we wish to teach more, and we wish to be among you, but we will wait as we have waited. But it will not be so long in our time. It will be decades in your time. 30 or 40 of your years, I am told. Perhaps longer. It depends on how fast your heart grows. But it will happen. And thank you for being one of the forerunners who hold that respect, not only for our kind, but for all kinds of life on your planet. We appreciate you being you and being in connection with more than you, which makes you part of the earth and not so much an individual.
I thank you for your answer, and I am honored to have this connection.
It is ours, for there are too few like you on this planet. It is always a pleasure to meet you, your type. Thank you.
Go ahead, Yvonne.
Thank you. I actually have two questions, and let me go with the simpler one first, I guess, and that is, uh, unless I misunderstood you, you were saying that you've not been in physical form on Earth for a long, long time, but there have been lots and lots of reports of people who have um, heard heard the Sasquatch, seen the Sasquatch, or believe that they're moving from the earth through portals to wherever it is you are. So I'm curious about that, whether those reports are just, like made up stuff, or what exactly is that about?
We were referring to the times when we could walk openly amongst the humankind.
Oh, I see.
That changed abruptly with the white man coming into this land. For they did not respect, nor did they understand, nor did they try to understand the energies nor the cultures of the beings who worshiped alongside us, who took care of Mother Earth with us. There are many of our kind who have befriended your kind. There are many more who playfully interact with them. And there are no sightings, no sounds which are not joyous for us in connecting with those of your kind who have been honored in that way. And many of your kind honor us with gifts and their love of the forest. And if this one had not taken and proven himself by honoring our structures and honoring the wood which he is keeper of, we may not have chosen him to speak through.
I see. Well, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, the second question I have, I'm not sure if you're exactly the one to ask, but you were talking about how so many of what we call aliens, right, contact us if we're respectful, etc. Now, I have had a few encounters with the Greys, and my encounters have always been very peaceful, and I've never had any issues or problems. But I hear story after story after story of not just the Greys, but other aliens, but especially the Greys, that people have had just the most awful experiences. And I'm curious about that. I don't understand how, one person says, "Oh, they tortured me and they did this and they did that." And yet I have not, in all the years that they've been in contact with me, I've not had anything like that. At least I don't remember anything like that. So I'm kind of curious about that, if you can speak to that.
We can say that humans who use their heart do not say those things. And many of those contacts occur in the dream state and get interpreted by the physical mind and then embellished for greater effect, when in fact they diminish themselves by deliberately misleading others. And say, for instance, a child is told by his parents or others in his locality that they are all evil, and he believes that, and he encounters one in his dreams. He is more likely to say that he encountered an evil being than to say he encountered an honorable being. And that will frame his expression. And those examples from childhood often persist through your adult natures. And those stories, the reactions that they get, cause more people to tell them because they appreciate that attention. They wish to be that focus. And we are not saying that the Greys did not alarm or frighten many individuals, and they are time travelers. But whether you know it or not, they no longer exist in that form for the most part, for they have evolved.
Interesting.
Now, we are not saying that there are not exceptions. And we are not saying that what you have received as far as information from individuals is true nor false. We are not here to comment on hearsay, but we ask you to think with your heart and to examine the possibilities and feel for the nature of why they are disclosing this information. Is it to warn you, or is it to bring attention to themselves, or for other reasons? We merely mention our story to give you something else to think about in which to frame it so that it will work for you and what you believe.
Thank you.
And thank you. Part of our job, which is made harder by those who are not truthful and authentic, is dispelling the many lies, the misleading statements which have been made about our kind. And we are kind. We put the kind in mankind.
Hello again.
Yes.
I was recently in a pub and they had there a lot of wood. And, I do have a great love for forests and trees. And I felt the energy of the wood. I felt closer to these big parts of trees that were in this place rather than the people, ironically. But I was wondering if you could speak about the spirit of the trees that still linger in them, even if, like, after they've been cut and put into places where people are.
Trees are groupings. They are part of Mother Nature. They can never be a part of Mother Nature and her energies and her loving ways. even in their parts, they have consciousness and remembrance of what they are, but not from their physical form, from their spirit nature. And they have attachments to those forms which are still physicalized, we will say. Although they do not inhabit them directly, their essence is energetically preserved within them. And there are humans who can be attuned to that, to feel that, or to receive communications from that, just as many of you do to the spirit realms. You receive messages from loved ones, from other beings. And if it is strong enough, especially if you have tapped into that natural rhythm, that loving energy, which comes from Gaia, which flows through all things, then in those rare moments, more rare than what we would like, you can be brought into the resonance of those objects which have lost their former grander glory as a conscious being in wholeness.
Thank you.
And we thank you. And we wish they were remaining whole, but we honor the world which we have inhabited and do inhabit. But being physical among you is not our greatest joy at this time, for we remember when we would be able to play freely at any time amongst our friends, and all were our friends.
Thank you so much for this interaction. I really appreciate you coming and talking with us. You had mentioned about gifts that some people leave to honor you. What kind of gifts could we leave to show our respect and love and honor for you?
The respect and honor is one of the gifts, but there are gifts of tobacco, natural products which you have formed with your own loving hands, gifts for the forest creatures, and at times things which we do not produce on our own besides the tobacco, and that is more of an individual taste. And we understand that one amongst you, the shining star, can provide you with more details upon that. Some do not. They appreciate the intent and they appreciate the offering, but
Mhm.
many do not partake of those gifts, and nothing which has been prepared by human hands. Your cooked foods spoil quickly and
Mhm.
are ruined because they are not prepared with the energetic love which would imbue them with more of the divine energy which is available which would be more acceptable to us.
You had mentioned things of providing for the forest animals, like nuts and seeds for birds and squirrels. Would those be considered, acceptable offerings?
If they are the types that those native to that area would consume.
Okay.
There are many foods which have been brought from afar,
Mhm.
which are not meant for the particular creatures in your area, perhaps. Not that they will not eat them, but their bodies are designed to flow with the natural and native substances which they would have encountered in their natural state had it been left unmarred by humans. But
Thank
the
you.
most respectful thing you can do is to remove all references that you have been there.
Okay. Yes, I see that. Thank you. Thank you for this interaction and your very kind advice.
And thank you for asking and for being interested. And we do enjoy the drumming and the chanting as well. It is the open hearts that acknowledge the forest and the forest energies which sing our songs as well.
Thank you for coming to speak. Many are coming now in many numbers to speak to humanity. And more humans are getting ready in their hearts to do this. So thank you for bringing your knowledge to this. It's very much appreciated.
And to you for the same. We honor you as you honor us with your presence and your mission of awareness and love and heart.
Thank you.
And we will take our leave. And we ask you to keep nature in your minds and keep your humanity from it, and let your divinity be with it. And take measures to restore your environment and desecrate it no more. Mm. That was a different one than last time. And my shoulders hurt.
It was a wonderful energy.
I guess. Well, thank you. Maybe my shirt was too small for them.
Mm.
It
Oh,
looked like he had quite a bit of time, you know, um, easing himself out. Um, you could almost see with the movements of your body that you can just picture someone in a suit and just, you know, kind of taking off the suit one leg at a time.
well, they're going to be respectful, because they don't wish to harm me.
Right,
So,
right.
they're going to do whatever they do. And I'm sure
Yes.
Arla's had them come through so often that there's no residuals or anything at all. Her body is already acclimated to that. But this is only the third time they've come to me. So,
It's kind of like a swinging door now. although, although depending on what they're talking about, a lot of times and with them usually, they come in much easier than they leave. And yes, it's because they are very careful with us. The first time I channeled Kashima, I just slipped right into it, not even knowing I was going to. And then when I finished, I was like a drunk zombie. It's the only way. I mean, because I was just woozy and it felt good. But when I had friends taking care of me. When I finally was getting myself back, it was like, oh, I'm sleepy. I gotta go to sleep. And we were at a grandmother gathering, and there were mattresses all around the floor, around the perimeter where everybody slept. And I walked over and was standing straight up and just went whoop onto the mattress. And they said afterwards, I said right before I went down, and she went down like a rock. So and he came in. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Um, but it was wonderful, and everybody could say, oh, you should have seen yourself last night doing what you're doing, because I've got this thing. I never drank to get drunk and goofy, because I have this thing about people saying, oh, if you only knew what you did. So
yeah. And thank you all. Yeah, and as soon as Christina started saying that, she was in this pub and saw wood, and instantly they said desecrated. But, they wait until you're finished with your thoughts. And, it's not like they're against mankind using
no,
the native
no, they're not.
products, but there's a way to do it. You ask permission, you bond, and you get the ones which are meant and are willing to give themselves up.
No.
You don't just go clear cutting a forest and remove homes for thousands of things. And, that's why all the indigenous knew that. They did their ceremonies. They knew which ones to go. They knew which trees they would bend over to use as markers to point out where certain things were and that sort of thing. And It was, and it, I wish, well, and I will learn more about that, because they like to harvest things, and one of their biggest things as far as the indigenous was we don't pull up anything by the roots.
Mhm.
We harvest what we need and we leave the plant, and we don't take all of everything. If they went and they said, "Oh, we have a bunch of turkey eggs," well, they were always going to leave about half of what was there for the other critters and for the future generations. And, Mother Nature knew about that. So if there was going to be a shortage, then there would be more somewhere else. But they were in the flow.
My father used to have a garden always when I was growing up, and he taught us always to plant more than we wanted because you had to have extra for the wildlife to come and eat.
Yeah. Some elders teach that you take every seventh plant.
Oh.
And not all elders preach that, but I have talked with some that is how they harvest every seventh plant. That way, when you go into an area, if those particular plants are stressed, then you're extremely careful. I know here several years ago, the purple coneflower people were coming, and it was getting a echinacea is what it's also called, were getting on the highways sides and just stripping it of all the echinacea. And it just broke my heart when we're going down the highway and there are people out there just pulling up huge handfuls of this echinacea. And that's probably been 25 years ago, I guess. And it has become, now it's regenerated quite a bit. And I'm just like, I hope that we don't have that happen again. That is so disrespectful.
And I was smiling inside when they were mentioning that, I was the keeper of the wood. Because I've seen one structure and I've seen where some trees have been taken out and broken off 3 foot above the ground when there wasn't a storm. And it's like, and they've been folded over and pushed together. And it's like, wow. I mean, what kind of strength does it take to take a 40-foot tree and break it off 3 foot off the ground? It's like, wow. But I don't know why or what. I mean, I'm kind of an infant at this, but every day when I get to the forest, I try to pull up invasives and help the other trees grow, and I'll be out there as long as it's warm.
And trying to understand what they're doing and why they do it. Kashima had said one of the first things that he talked about was, and one of his sayings was, do not put your thoughts as a human onto how we should be. And humans anthropomorphize, I almost didn't get it out, everything. We want to make everything human. And when we see the things they do, thinking as a human as to why they did that is most likely not going to get you the answer that's truly there. So when people ask me, well, why do they do that? And I said, well, they choose what they do. They have their reasons. It's not for me to say what they're doing is wrong or right. They choose what they do.
And what they say, because they had more to say on Anita's question, but they did not want to be misunderstood because, if they say, yeah, nuts and berries are good, and then people come and they bring, Brazil nuts and salted cashews,
Right.
and they're like, well, so they just said, whatever's native,
Right.
and we'll
Right.
leave it to that. And I personally don't know what the tobacco.
I've
And,
heard that before,
and
but
apparently dark chocolate too, because it's more natural. But I don't know. Can you explain something about that, Arla?
About the
About,
tobacco.
yeah,
Mhm.
Tobacco's a ceremonial thing. It's not
they're not
just
going to
a
roll it and
plant.
smoke it.
And they could if they chose to do so. But when you gift them from your heart.
Mhm.
And, through the years, we've gifted and traded with each other unusual things as well. And
Could you give an example?
um, um, I've gifted, like, one time I was walking on my walk down the road, and there was this really cool piece of flint, and it was pretty good size. And I have a striker so that, I could start a fire with that. Well, I picked it up, and it was just beautiful. And I brought it back to the house, and I set it down in my room. And then I went back in there, and I thought, that is so beautiful. I'm going to take it down to an area where I gifted and traded with them. And they didn't take it. It sat there and it sat there, and they used it. After I took it down there and not used it like you think. But I love leaves. I've always loved leaves, and they gift me leaves in very unusual way. Well, when I went back down there, there was a stem of leaves underneath that piece of flint.
Wow.
And that was just, them saying, you gave us this, we give you that, we know. But it still wasn't taken. So one day I was down there, and I had part of my hair pulled back in one of those little bitty ties, like you put a ponytail for a little kid in. And I took it off, and I just put it around that flint. And, it was kind of not a velvet, but it felt really good. The little, I guess it's rubber that you put her on. And so I left it there. Well, I went back, and the next day, and it was gone. So
The
they
Flint and
yes,
the band?
yes. So it was like, I know who took that. That would have been baby girl who would have taken that. And like I said, through the years, there's been so much. I didn't gift food much. Every now and then I would take something, but I'd bought apples one year for about Christmas, and they were green and red. And I thought, those are so cool. I want to go down there and take them. So I had this wire basket type thing that would open up, and then you could close it. And I thought, well, if I put it in there, animals won't get it. And so I tied it with a piece of leather lacing that I had, and I put a piece of sage on top. When I went back, the leather lacing was taken. And so I thought, well, maybe I'll take them some more. So the next time I took 2 pieces down there and I tied it loosely on top of the basket by the sage. And when I went back, those were gone. The sage looked like it hadn't been touched or moved or anything, and the apples were still in there. So, they know what what they want, and a lot of things I think they do is just to see our reaction. So I taught.
And welcome, Brian. And welcome, Heidi.
Hi.
And Wanda's flashing. Hey, it's beautiful flash. Hey. And we're going to go ahead and wrap up this first session.